Ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, it's time for everyone's favorite hour of the week. Let's be honest, this is what people stop their entire week for. It's to listen to Task and John ramble on about how much we love Ethereum. Welcome to the CryptoManiacs podcast. Task, how was your weekend, man? Good to go?
Uh, I've had an issue here. I'm like half clean, and a couple weeks ago, I think a week ago Saturday, we had a transformer blow, which of course everybody knows transformers are electricity. But in having to replace the transformers, the utility company came and drove across the lawn. Well, they crushed the box where, all the plumbing comes in for my complex. And so the plumber came out last week to fix it. And it turns out the on off valve was just crushed by, this utility vehicle that just, drove across it. So I get a knock on my door this morning from the landlord and said, the water will be off for about an hour. The city's coming out. They had to cut it out, put a new on-off switch. Okay, no problem. So I go for my walk. I come back. I'm in the shower, and the water stops about halfway through.
So you're half clean. I get it now.
And I'm half clean, and so I look out, and the plumber was back, and obviously the city put the on-off switch, so now he could turn it off and do his thing. Of course, he turned off the water in my shower. So this is my dilemma for the day. It's not an easy issue. So I'm not as smelly as I was, but I'm probably not. Actually, I'm not smelly. It's just I probably got soap still left on me. So that's my major dilemma. If you have problems worse than that, then
I'm good. I don't have any, but I'm sorry to hear that.
Do you have power and running water?
I have power and running water. Yes,
well,
sir.
You're just like been steps ahead of me this past couple of weeks. So,
wow, yeah, I'm living the dream.
And then when the transformer went, there was another problem because when the utility company turned it back on, it took out like a bunch of water heaters in this complex, including mine. It blew a fuse in the water heaters itself. And so they went running around trying to get these fuses, and there were none to be had locally. So she had to order them in. And so we went 2 days without hot water, which for me, it's not the end of the deal. Big deal. I could do the old spun bath, and I got no hair. So it wasn't that big a deal. But if people had hair, I can imagine it was a nightmare. So
Chris shares your pain. Chris says on YouTube that he went the entire weekend with no internet. So
that would be catastrophic too. I mean, I went a week ago Saturday, since I had no power. I naturally had no internet, and so but it was only five hours or so. But yeah, that would be. I'd rather go without hot water than internet for a couple days. After a while, going without hot water be a. You go over, you heat up some water on the stove and get it a nice tepid temperature, and then.
My wife gives me the side glance if I haven't showered in a day or so.
For good reason. I'm saying that to cleanse yourself. I mean, there's probably a good reason why she gives a sour glance and sits further away on the couch from you, and is all of a sudden busy in the other room for
its look of disgust is more of the I married that. Yeah.
Oh, it's like that aroma comes off the man that I love. Good God.
Good morning, guys. So CryptoManiacs podcast is back. We were supposed to have a guest today. Didn't work out, didn't pan out, but we do have a slate of attendees and special guests coming. We have Raven. We're here, yeah.
I mean, we'll ask each other questions. So, we'll guess.
Okay.
We'll each be guests. How's that?
Okay. So today's guest.
But my question is, do we get like badges? Can we give ourselves badges? Or
Oh yeah, that would. I guess we'd have to give ourselves badges if we.
we're not allowed badges. We're not in the cool club. We're like not allowed.
Well, dude, speaking of not allowed and taking things away, so we added reputation scores to listeners last week. And if you go inside of the membership area at listeners, you click on reputations, you'll notice that there's a few names that are not there. Mine, Blaine's, Eliana's. Why? Because Blaine has made it so that our reputations don't show up ever.
What the hell's the difference? He downvotes you to hell anyway, so
That's
you'd
what
have
I
a
mean.
negative reputation. You're probably better off not having one.
That's what I'm saying.
You'd be the only one with a red negative reputation right next to your name because of Blaine.
I want that.
Yeah.
And
Blaine, you realize Blaine has about 8 accounts that he like loaded up with CTP and listeners, and he just downvotes you like 8-10 times each post.
Oh yeah. It's almost guaranteed.
Hey, I actually got a rating now. I mean, I had 25, but I sent out my first email since you guys incorporated that this morning, and I got a couple of upvotes, and I guess that helps my.
Oh yes, rating. You're 32.17 right now, sir.
Oh really? I was at 29 like earlier.
Well,
how do I get a 0.17?
Well, it's just more people voting you, more people loving you.
But how do you get a 0.17? Is there a 0.17 person?
There's
midget voting?
No, you don't get it's all weighted, stake weighted. Oh. So it's not, you don't get a vote per person. It depends on factors.
Oh, okay.
Blaine's the smart one. I literally copy and pasted and put it up on a post last week on how it all works. So.
Why bog your mind down with shit you don't need to? If you can copy and paste and not have to think, do it.
Bro, that's my life. Copy and paste. Don't have to think.
Yeah, you remember like in school when that was frowned upon? Now it's like actually commendable. It's like, I'll just go copy this code.
Yeah.
It's out there. I'll take it.
Love it.
I tried doing that on my physics exam. I got sent to the dean of discipline. I was just ahead of my time.
So what's on the agenda, man? What do we want to dive into this week, this glorious week, this bonus episode of interviewing each other?
Well, we have the listeners. We had our listener extravaganza last week with Jimmy.
Yes, Jimmy's in the audience right now.
Who has he been surpassed yet? He was close to being surpassed by This Is My Life. She was.
In the rich list.
She was about to step on him. And
he's still up top. He's still up top.
Is he? He's holding on for dear life.
Yeah.
If you talk to Jimmy's girlfriend, he doesn't like being on top either. But anyway, I digress.
Wow.
So the reputation score, I think, is another fun tool. I did notice now, it seems some people were at like 99. How high can this thing go?
It goes to 100, and we already have like 4 people at 100. So, hopefully Blaine never listens to this. I don't think he does. He never pays attention to the things I do for him. But I think we didn't slow it down enough. Like, I thought that it would take weeks to get people into the green. Like, I thought people would stay in the blues for a long time. The algorithm that he set up, I guess, just kind of like turbo boosted it, and it was pretty quick. So, I know people will absolutely rage if we reset things, but I'm not thrilled with how the reputation score thing worked out. I would have liked, just like on Hive, I've been, I'm 77 or 78 now on Hive. It's taken me 5 years, to get there. Yeah. I'd like it more weighted like that, but yeah. So,
well, I think what you need to do is you need to up the limit, slow it down, and maybe up it to 500. And so the first 100 are very quick, but then you start slowing it down to 200 and then 250, then 300. And so, if somebody gets over 4, they're doing real well. And might not happen for a while. So,
Right.
yeah, you have to grab Blaine, grab him by the ear, and throw him back in the old drawing board and say, redo this, dumbass.
Come on. I know. That's what I
You
try.
know, I think you need to get the posse together with our virtual tomatoes, and we'll all throw virtual tomatoes at Blaine on the next show. We'll
Beautiful.
show up on Thursday's show and throw virtual tomatoes at him and
I'm
eggs.
here. I'm here for the tomato party, man. I'm totally here for
Well,
it.
should we throw eggs or tomatoes?
Well, eggs are a little harder to get out, maybe. Well, no, I mean it's kind of both, and yeah. And Jimmy says it is what it is. We can handle it. Jimmy, dude, you're the testament of rolling with the punches.
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow. You are part of the bald head crew, sir. So you get the high fives.
I think it would be good to redo it though, Jimmy, just from the sense that it's gamifying stuff, and it gives something for people to talk about, to shoot for, and
Right.
I never thought the reputation on Hive meant a whole lot, but then you see people posting saying,
love it.
I can't wait to get to 70. I'm at like 68, and it's like, okay, and when you get there, it means nothing, but that's part of the gamification, and I think you give people a little competitive nature or give them a reason. I mean, you get to 100 in 4 days or 5 days.
There's no comp. There's no one cares. Yeah.
Okay, what's going to happen to everybody else? You know, I imagine everybody but the once a weekers will be there within the next week or two. So you'll have everybody at 100.
That's the thing. We notice the people that send once a week obviously have the lower reputations, while the people that are sending multiple times a day are skyrocketed.
Yeah, makes sense. That's obviously those who are sending multiple times a day get more upvotes, they get more weighting, and obviously they're doing more for the platform, so it makes sense. But if you got, I mean, what the hell's the point of it if 60 to 70% of the people are at 100 and okay, you see 100 next to everybody's name. It's like everybody gets a blue ribbon.
Yeah, that's the participation trophies, man. We all do good at life. Well, that brings up the rant that we had last night on Crypto Mondays. I know you attended because we saw you in the audience.
No, I didn't. I forgot all about it. I'm having enough trouble remembering your Thursday show, let alone your Monday show.
Yeah,
I was writing a blog post when you guys were on the air anyway.
That's okay. So the thing is that we were trying to encourage people to use the downvotes because what's happening, it seems that everyone is just getting upvotes. Everyone's getting a blue ribbon. Everyone's getting a blue ribbon. Like no one is really pushing themselves. No one's really trying to get better. No one, not saying no one, that's being generalizing here, but this is an issue we see because the whole purpose of listeners, the upvotes and downvotes, was yes to verify the emails, but it was also to encourage people to get better. If something wasn't working, try something different. If you got 4 or 5 downvotes and you weren't verified, look at what you were doing to improve. And that has gone away by a few reasons. One was, the downvote culture on Hive. It's tied to it, even though it's got nothing to do with it. But also, what I read from a few of the comments from the post last night was that some people still have the minimum of 4 votes. They're not staking CTP, so there's a loss in translation there with like how powerful it is to buy and stake 50 CTP tokens on the platform. Then you'll have upvotes. So a few things, but it was an interesting discussion last night. Blaine raged quite a bit. It was definitely impressive. So must watch TV.
I give a downvote at least every day, if not a couple. I downvote the ones who send the same stupid shit. First off, if you send an email and the link doesn't work, automatic downvote. Then if you're sending the same dopey stuff day in, day out, I'll downvote that. And if you do the make $10,000 in 3 minutes, I'll downvote them. Other than that, anybody who's sending out Hive posts because they tend to change it up.
Yeah.
Those will usually get an
Right.
upvote from me, especially if you're not. I mean, it's just pretty much all the Hive stuff and related stuff gets an upvote. Those who are just like trying to, they'll send out their affiliate for Rising Star. I
Yeah. Yeah.
won't
Yeah.
downvote that, but I won't upvote it. Because it's typically the same people once or twice a week sending out the affiliate link for CTP or Rising Star or all this stuff, and it's like, if I would have hit you up the first 6 times.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But I'm not necessarily saying that's in my mind worthy of a downvote because I understand what they're doing. But it's if you promise $10,000 in 3 days, that'll get a downvote.
Mm.
So I throw a couple out there a day.
Yeah. Definitely downvote my stuff. I highly recommend that you do.
Well, that's. I mean, and the problem is you can't downvote Blaine. He doesn't send anything.
I know. That's the problem with being the Geico Gecko of the company. Is I get the tomatoes thrown at me. So
well,
that's fine. That's okay.
He knows how to handle that back end stuff and stay out of the way of the fire.
Yep.
But the problem is you're on camera all the time and you just blame him for everything.
Oh, totally.
Warranted or not.
Yeah, that's
if that
the
anything
only
good
way
that
to do it.
happens, you take credit for it, warranted or not.
Absolutely. That's why. Oh, John is such a brilliant guy. It's like, I know. I'm the smartest. I promise you. Like that's why I'm in crypto because I'm just so smart. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've mentioned on air a number of times that there's other things in the works, and I know you're not the reason that it's not out today. It's Blaine. So I mean, it's his fault.
I'm saying that's what I'm saying.
I agree with you.
All his fault.
I don't know.
I'm surprised he hasn't jumped in the chat here now. I started rage quitting, but
Now
so
about my stuff.
So here we go. So it's quarter number 1 now of 2022. What's your general feel of the crypto space? Obviously Hive related, but generally your finger on the pulse of how the first quarter of this year has gone in the crypto world.
I think it's first develop, then market, and the crypto world has a lot of development taking place. What have we seen this year? Let's think. In general, across the board, I think you would have to say algorithmic stablecoins became a thing that really kicked off this year, this first quarter. So as we're in quarter number 2, we're starting to see. I mean, I wrote a post this morning about the Waves situation with their stable coin, and it was pushed way down, and people were gamifying the system and all that other stuff. And could we see something like that with Hive? And is Hive protected, or what are our defenses? So there's a lot there, which coincides with this ramp up in the talks of regulation and the FUDsters from the Biden administration to other countries and governments trying to regulate and control. Then on the flip side, you've had more, at least in the United States, more cities stepping up, more states stepping up and becoming crypto friendly. So it's kind of the battle that's going on there with the government entities. The price of Bitcoin, I'm very disappointed at. That's gone sideways, and I watch that moment by moment throughout the day.
Oh, for sure, yeah. That's
only second by the moment by moment pricing of Hive.
Exactly.
And what that is. So the market itself is the market, as we always say. It's been flat, sideways, maybe a little down. But considering what's gone on, I think the safe thing to conclude is cryptocurrency is not the risk-off trade. It's not the safe haven. It's a risk-on trade. So if there is uncertainty out there, crypto is going to get hit. People are going to move out of it. But that's okay. We just keep building and growing. Now, one thing that's close, near and dear to your heart is the proof of stake transformation on Ethereum seems to be getting closer. So I
Oh,
think I know
buddy.
I know you're updating your CoinGecko news feed to see if there's any more articles written about that. Since you're
Dude,
such
you
a
know what? If they ever got gas prices down to like just respectable levels, like I'm
I
pretty
don't
sure I
even
wouldn't have
know
to
if
work for
this
6 months. All the stupid crypto I got, I can dump. Anyways,
I, I
dude,
don't
I got
know.
so much of this crap. I got so many of these tokens that are on Ethereum that are sitting there, and I open up my MetaMask, and it's like huge. Like I got all of these, and then ask me how much it costs to just trade it, to put it on
Yeah,
Uniswap, and
you'll end up losing $5 per token.
stupidity, dude. It's like
I don't know
I
if this.
forgot it exists. So
I could be wrong, but I don't know if this is gonna. It's gonna help their scalability. I don't know if it's gonna address their fee problem though.
no, no, no,
So,
it won't.
um, and on Hive, we had Speak Network pulled out their airdrop. You guys introduced List Nerds. Polycub was introduced by Leo Finance. Leo Finance is now advertising at some crypto show next week or this week or something. Um, it seems like CyberX is really making headway and taking steps forward.
Mm.
Uh, Splinterlands was a little quiet in the first quarter, but after the year they had, they're allowed to be, and we know they have land coming up soon, and they have some other things. Although I guess their that one card was in the first quarter
Wow.
was that
Well,
in last year.
that's today is actually it's going back on the market. They sold out in like 30 seconds when they started it on Hive, and the plan was to put half of them on Hive, half of them on Wax. Well, the Wax sale was just an absolute disaster. They barely sold any, so they made the announcement last month that they were going to bring those remaining ones over today on Hive. And see what happens. So they're on. I don't know if they're on the market yet. I saw there was a few server issues, but that's really the big test. Like, will that sell out? I think they're putting it up for a week, and then whatever's not sold, if it doesn't sell out, they're going to burn it. So if you do own one of these, the max there's ever going to be is 1,000 of them total, but there
that
might
could
even
go
be
down.
less. It can even go down.
That
So
could go down.
yeah, people whining and complaining about the price of it. I'm like, yeah. Like, this is why it was so. I think it's so important if you're looking at Splinterlands to look at it also as from a collector's point of view. That's how a lot of people are look like. Some of those guys that own some of the top tier cards in the game. They're not playing the game every day. They're sitting on these things because there's like 3 copies of them on the planet. That's what's attractive to it. So, anyways, that I promise we will definitely focus more on Ethereum and not Splinterlands on this show, guys. I apologize.
But
Not really.
that they've been relatively quiet, but we have faith that Splinterlands isn't going to be quiet for too long, and we do know land is something that they are going to start to heavily incorporate. So that's that's
Yeah.
exciting. We're still waiting on the hard fork. I don't know what's going on with that. It supposedly was targeted the end of April. Block Trades told us on the show that they give 30-day notice to the exchanges.
Yeah.
Do not know if that has been delivered or not. So all we can do is wait and see till we get some word. RC delegations are probably going to be the biggest
Right.
addition there. And maybe Hive Savings Bonds makes it in. Who knows? Maybe somebody will code that in. How do I know? But outside of that, it's just building. I think here's another thing that I think about of the state of crypto after Q1. I think, and this is very encouraging because there's a transition taking place in my mind. And tell me if you agree with me on this, John, or not.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're just too focused and we just really don't know what the hell we're talking about. But it seems to me there is now a shift or a transformation over to the idea of yield as opposed to tokens, token Lambo mooning. Or
Right.
token mooning
Yeah.
Lambo. I mean,
Okay.
speculation is still a part of this, a large part of it, but it
Right.
seems like people are starting to understand the concept through the Polycub, through the Cub DeFi, through all the different DeFi, on Hive, outside of Hive, the Hive savings. That you know what, it's important to have a portion of your portfolio going for yield. And I mean, we've always had that because really, I mean, you put in your Hive into HP, you get your 2.8%, but
Yeah. Right.
you get the ability to upvote and curate and get a return there. Splinterland, you can take the cards, you rent them out, you get an ROI. You can kind of do it with that. So there was that mindset out there, but I think it's kind of advancing, which I think is a big step forward for crypto, because instead of all the talks being, well, how can I like put in $1,000 and make $5 million? It's like, okay, how can I put in $25,000 and make $5,000 a year? And grow
Right.
that over 20 years to, whatever, $1.5 million or whatever that works out to. I think that's a transition that's taken place.
I mean, I'll be brutally honest with you. The HBD stuff, the Hive stuff, I understand. That's pretty straightforward to me. I like simple. The Cub, the Polycub, all of that stuff, being truthful, completely transparent, most of that goes over my head. Like, I understand kingdoms, I put it in, there's a percentage. All the Polycub, how all that fancy stuff works, I have no idea. Everyone's really excited about it. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on, but apparently the rumor is stake it. Put it in X Polycub. You'll be happy. And okay, good enough for me. Tash says it all the time. He's really excited about it. I trust Cal. All the guys at Leo Finance are really cool. That's good enough for me. I like simple though. So that was one of the first questions. If you remember when Cal was on a couple weeks ago, that's what I asked him. I was like, how do I take this and just do it like I do in Cub Finance with the Kingdoms? Can I just put it in? So yes, will the yield stuff and instead of the Moon Boys be the thing? Yeah, for sure. I just think that the simpler it's made in front of people, the more they understand it, they'll embrace it more.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
And yeah, Amir wants to know if he can put $3 in.
Yeah, I was going
How
to
does he
answer
make
that.
$8 million a day?
Send that to Taskmaster 4450 LE. Send the $3, and hope my internet connection works tomorrow. It might be like Chris's. I think was it Chris who lost the internet?
Whoever Chris lost the internet. Yeah.
Chris's internet zombies attacked mine. So don't worry, you'll get your $1 million at some point. Yes, and see what we're doing is can I send the 8 million instead? Sure, if you want to send 8 million to me, I'll send you back $3. Send $8 million, I'll send you back $3. What we're doing is we're working up the scale, and next, or at some point, not necessarily next, is going to become lending, and that's going to be a big thing because that allows you to take the value you have, at least in X Polycub. I don't know if it'll extend to Cub, but it's taking value and allowing you to put it to work and to generate a return. So if you have your X Polycub yielding, let's say 50%, and so you keep getting 50%. Let's say you got $10,000 in there. So 50% is you're going to get $5,000 a year. Okay, great. Now you take and you collateralize that for, let's say, half, and you get $5,000 that you can put into another investment yielding, let's say, 25%. Well, you get your original 5,000 APR because you're not selling your X Poly, you're collateralized it. So it's like HP, you still own it even if you delegate it. So you got your 5,000, then you get 25%, $5,000, 1,275. So you just made 3750 as opposed to, or no, $6,250, so as opposed to $5,000. So you make $1,250 more. Um, that's really how you can grow things and expand and grow. And we're starting to get into, what bankers do. I mean, when people say this is doing shit without banks, doing stuff without intermediaries, we are.
Right.
But that means we need to understand what they do and what it means to collateralize something and take out a loan on your assets and to invest that for a profitable return. That's all important. And then, of course, managing risk and all that comes into play. So it's
Yeah.
just working people up the scale. But, as you found out with going through the MetaMask and 3 keyboards, it was well worth it for you, because now when Polycub rolled out, at least to the point you got to, it was no problem. Okay, add
Right.
another network. Okay, you just looked at the screenshots that somebody posted, I'm sure, and said, okay, I can do this. You added it. You got a little Matic in there. You moved your Polycub around. And, you know, you know how to do that much.
Yeah.
So that's what it's about. Is each time it extends out, we just keep adding and adding and adding to our knowledge base. And
Mhm.
it's the same thing you and I preach with Hive. Stick with it. Understand what's going on. We both know, we never said it. Most of it's not Greek when you show up.
Right.
Even
Yeah.
if you speak Greek, it seems Greek.
Mm.
Uh, Even if it seems Greek to you as a Greek. Uh, so it's not easy, but follow what I write, follow what John writes, follow what other people write. Addicted, we write about different things on the platform that over time, read block trades posts, even though 90% of it will go over your head if you're
Mhm.
lucky. Most times 95, but if you understand 5% of it, you pick up a few key things, and
Mhm.
then you understand what witnesses are. You understand what voting for proposals are. You understand all of that stuff.
Yeah.
By the way, I'll do a public service announcement. Hou just put up a proposal today. If you haven't seen it, or maybe last night, he is one of the core developers. He put up a proposal. This is how he pays his bills. He full time is a Hive developer. He's just a member of the community. He's paid out of the DAO. So go and support his proposal, because if not, then coding falls to me and John, and we will just say that the blockchain may do some wonky stuff if
Yes.
John and I are programming it. So
Yeah.
you're better off with Owu. It's 330 HBD a day he gets paid or something, and it's well worth it. He leads the Hive development calls on YouTube when they do that every 3 weeks. So he's a good member to support.
Yep. Very true. I just see my path to fire is actually, he's in Vim, and he asked if they have Leo. So I wanted to touch on this because this is I saw what they mentioned, and I wanted to talk a little bit. Task and I have talked about this ad nauseum, the trickle down effect. So this is what's so cool about that. Do you have Leo? Here's what's really cool. I start with Hive power. I delegate a chunk, I think 30,000 or something Hive power to Leo voter. What does that do? That pays me a whole bunch of Leo each and every day. I stake some of it, but what I've been doing over the past couple of weeks is I take that and I'm buying Cub with it. So now I'm buying Cub, I'm adding to my airdrop for Polycub, and I'm staking it into X Polycub. Let's go through that trickle down effect again. I started at Hive power. All I didn't have to think about it. Idiot. Stupid guy.
You didn't have a choice, fool. That was all
Yeah,
that was.
no, but I'm saying, like, okay, yes. 4 years ago, I couldn't do anything, just look at it. It was like Bitcoin. It was like, oh, look, I can look at it. Oops, sorry, Maxis. But I don't have to think about it. All I do is buy Hive. I power it up. Now what happens is I have built my stake over time. I can now go and delegate that same Hive power I don't send it to anyone. I delegate it. It's mine lending. I can take it back whenever I want. I'm delegating a big chunk of my Hive power to Leo Voter, which is supports the Leo community. It's fantastic. Obviously, I'm a raving fan of Leo. This pays me in liquid Leo every single day. And we're not talking 1 or 2 Leo. I'm getting 60 to 70 of these things a day. That's like $20 a day. I take a little bit of it, I stake it, so I grow my Leo stake, which apparently the rumor is the more Leo you have when Project Blank drops, that's going to be the airdrop token that they're going to ratio it to. So I want to grow my Leo stake, but I'm also taking it and buying Cub with the Leo. So I'm diversifying my exposure to a bunch of different blockchains because that's on BSC. So I'm going over there, and then I take that and the airdrops I'm getting from Cub, I'm actually getting Polycub, which is on Polygon as well. So it starts with Hive, it goes to Hive Engine, it goes to BSC, and then it goes to Polygon. 4 blockchains I'm exposed to by powering up Hive. As you can tell, this is the Hive Fanboy Podcast. There's a reason.
Well, and then you're going to get, so we're told, Avalanche, because your airdrop is based on your Cub. So you'll get Avalanche, you'll get Terra, you'll get Thor chain, wherever they go with this premise of Polycub, they're going to duplicate it elsewhere. So now all of a sudden you are multiplying the airdrop. You're increasing the airdrop. You get not only a Polycub for the next 27 or days or whatever is left, you will get an increased airdrop in the next one for 60 days.
Yep.
And so on and so on and so on.
Yep. This is what I mean. Like the easiest path to this is something we talk about is powering up Hive. I mean, that's the most straightforward, bare bones approach to this stuff. Once you power up Hive, your world kind of opens up because then you start seeing what you can do with it and how you can flip it, how you can lend it out, delegate it, how you can power it up even more. There's so many amazing things you can do. That's why we've been, side note here. Obviously, Splinterlands is built on Hive. A lot of the transactions are on the blockchain, and I follow a lot of the content creators on Splinterlands. And one of the guys I follow is a dude named Dwayne Cunningham, and he did a little YouTube chat a couple of days ago. He actually had Rondon on, and they were talking about the history of Hive because what we're finding with a lot of these Splinterlands players is they have no idea that this thing is on Hive. They don't know what Hive is.
They don't care.
But he's explaining it to them and showing them how we were basically created through a fire. Like, I mean, the world was burning all around us. Hive raised like the phoenix. How it's like this, protected by a hostile takeover. It won the battle. It's 3 or 4 times as much as Steam is trading for right now. There was just all of these things him and Rondon went over, and it made me realize how under the radar this blockchain still is. So it's just like this amazing thing that the majority, I'm not saying no one, but the majority of the crypto world hasn't woken up to yet. And it's being built right now while it's not the hype, while it's not, on the front page of the news every day. That's exciting to me, the what if and what's coming. So,
and we've talked about it for, 104 broadcasts or whatever we've done now.
Yeah, this is 104, I think. Yeah.
So you'll be impressed if I say, I'm broadcast 141, but we're still waiting for that breakthrough moment, and we know that. We thought we had it with Splinterlands, but we really didn't. And I have no problem, and I actually have no disagreement with what you said in terms of the premise. And I quite frankly don't think that'll change because, and I've used the analogy with AWS. I mean, how many people think of AWS when they turn on Netflix. Well,
Right.
that's where the videos are housed, the movies are housed, but does
No one
anybody give a
cares.
shit?
Right.
If
Yeah.
it was on AWS or Azure, who cares? I mean, I don't
Mm.
care. It's I want to watch Netflix. So um, that I think is what happens when you have a back end, which Hive is a back end ledger system. Now we talk about it as a community. We talk about it as Hivers or Hivians or whatever the hell we call ourselves. We talk about it as an ecosystem. But to most people, if they're entering through an application, that's all they're interested in, and they don't care.
Yeah.
And, probably if there's one thing we've fallen short of, but as I said, you build it first, then you market. And everybody wants marketing just to push up. They want marketing so the price of Hive goes up. Really, that's what they want.
Right. Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah. Not if it works or not, just the price of it.
yeah, just the
Yeah.
price of Hive go up because there'll be more people here.
Yeah.
The thing is we need to build those applications that are truly of interest to people. Project Blank, you and I, if we had any hair, we'd be bald right now anyway because we'd have pulled it out right now. But Project Blank has so much potential to onboard hundreds of thousands of people very quickly because it's something people understand and utilize. And when you go after blogging, long form content, that's probably the least amount of information on the internet is serious, well thought out stuff.
Right.
Most is memes. Most is look at this picture of my toe. Look at the picture of my dinner. Look at my kid running around naked. Look at
Yeah.
whatever, LOL. That's what the majority of stuff is on the internet, and Twitter is obviously the mecca of that. And
Mm.
that's fine, drop in links, here, look at this that I found. Um, we don't cater to that right now.
Yeah.
And so, when we do, and people say debuzz, but you try posting on debuzz throughout the day and see how quickly, if you have any type of reputation whatsoever, how quickly you get buried simply because you're just going to start swamping people's feeds. They're going to be
Yeah.
unfollowing you all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, and that's a problem. So I think Project Blank has, from what we were told when Cal was on, Project Blank has a solution. Um, so we'll see. So, that at a certain point in time, I think we have to take some of those images that were created that talks about all that people can access with Hive.
Mm.
But most people aren't familiar with that because they're still in the Web 2 mindset of, okay, I got a Twitter account, I got a Facebook account, I got a Google account, I got a Microsoft account, and they're all different.
Yeah.
People don't have the mindset of, oh, you mean I can play Splinterlands with my Hive account? Yeah. Yeah, I can do deluxe stuff with my Hive account. Yes, I can
Yeah.
go into
Yeah.
HiveBlog and Peak D. Yes, I can go to CTP. Yeah, it's mind-boggling to them.
Yeah.
So I think it's just part of that process, that learning curve. We're ahead of it, and I also, since I listen to the CTT broadcast each week, you know, they call me Dan. You can't listen to anything he says without it being pounded into your head because he's always beating this drum. His feeling is it's just a matter of it's a game of attrition because
Mm.
at some point all these other entities that claim themselves to be decentralized but are not are going to run into problems. Well,
Yeah.
with Hive, we know exactly where we stand because we were forced to. I mean, that Ninja Mind stake is in a DAO that is run by the coding on the blockchain,
The
which is
community. Yeah.
incorporated by the consensus witnesses. I mean, there is nobody who controls that DAO or those funds.
Mm.
Um, that is big. It can't be upvoted. It's not powered up. It can't be used for governance. It's locked away. So
Yeah.
that's a big deal.
Mm. Yeah. It's crazy sometimes, especially it's even though it was 2 years ago. Um, it's still fresh enough in the memory to sometimes I don't think we appreciate it how like what happened and that's what's exciting. We had the guys that are doing the film a couple of weeks ago. That's what's so exciting. If this film stuff actually happens, like this is a Hollywood movie, and I don't know who's going to play us, man. Who's going to play Task, and I guess we'll probably be extras in the movie. We won't be features.
Yeah, I don't think
Mm.
either of us are main characters in that story.
No.
We were fringe observers, so we can be just extras on the set. Put a couple ball people on standing around in the crowd. And
We're the red shirts on the Star Trek episodes. That's what we are. Which means we'll get shot first. So
yeah. Well, it's like you and I, if we were in like the horror movies, in like Friday the 13th, where we're the first one to get the
what was that
through our head.
Let's go investigate.
Yeah.
Blood curdling screams. That sounds interesting. We should go look around the corner. Go into this dark alley.
Let's go walk into this dark woods. Oh, look, a barn in the middle of the woods.
Let's go to the barn, and then all of those creepy equipment and rusted tools and knives,
machetes and axes and hatchets and all kinds of stuff. Hey,
oh, dude,
let's go see this
Gong Show.
But I mean, I've said that I think, and I mean, Starkers talks about it. Cal talks about it. Block Trades doesn't really talk about it, but he lives it. Development is very tough to time, and we all want stuff to happen very quickly. Yeah. It doesn't. We make our projections, we make our forecasts, we make our guesstimates, which they are just that, guesses. I still stand by. I think the second half of this year, we will see a major boost to Hive because I feel something is going to come together. I don't know which one it'll be. I don't know whether it'll be Speak. I don't know whether it'll be CyberX. I don't know whether it'll be Listeners. I don't know whether it'll be Project Blank. I don't know what it'll be, but we have enough stuff. I mean, maybe Splinterlands again does something crazy like they did last year, and strikes a node out there of users that it just explodes. But I'm optimistic that we have enough stuff come together, and it might be something we're not even talking about too. That's always the other thing. I mean, I don't recall, but this time last year, was anybody talking about CyberX? I mean, was that on anybody's radar? And in the last 6-7 months, they're very impressive. So, that's how it can be. The half may really make things easier, and we may be seeing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times the developers. I don't know. So that's my projection is the second half of the year, things should get rather interesting, and I'm optimistic we're going to have something that breaks through, because really, when you think about it, John, we got like I forget who it was, either Dow's or I think it was Dow's put together a post, but maybe it was one of Arcane's. But we have about 30,000 monthly users on Hive, or monthly accounts on Hive, and when you think about it, that's nothing. So for us to go to like 300,000 monthly users is not a lot.
No.
And of course, it excludes the custom JSON, which excludes most of the Splinterlands players. But you get a Project Blank getting another 25,000 people. That more than doubles the number of daily users. I mean, I think we're 15, 16,000 daily users. So, 25,000 for an app like Project Blank is nothing.
Yeah.
And so that's where, like you said, we're under the radar, but it allows us to develop and not worry about who's looking, because nobody's looking. And if we screw something up, it's screwed up among us ourselves. So, okay, few people get pissed off and leave, but at the end of the day, it's, we know we're not perfect, and we know we got work to do, and we know development needs to take place. And So that's where we just need one thing to break through. And in the meantime, it's just grind along with listeners and Leo Finance and, keep supporting CyberX and keep supporting Speak Network. By the way, get your claim drop. It's a new month.
Yes.
So you get your claim drop. So, I mean, that's just where I think Hive stands. That's my state of Hive. We're a little early, but a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, we're we're pretty pumped up too, because obviously listeners launched and we're excited about it. But we've got secret project number 127563 coming out.
I know you track like the. I mean, do you have a daily user count? I mean, do you have anything like that? Can you track like how many people actually log in each day and use listeners? Or
I'm sure Blaine has it. It's not in our admin. I do know that we're at 1,642 new members since we relaunched, so it's growing by leaps and bounds. But I'm sure he has it. But inside of the members area for me, the admin area, I don't have
I'm just curious how many people are using listeners on a daily basis, because we see most of the same names, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, now there's a lot of people like myself who you're not going to see me much in listeners because I only post once a week in terms of the email, but I'm in there every day upvoting and
awful. How dare you? Guilt trip.
I am the example of how you can go from zero to huge success on listeners.
Yes, zero to hero
organically.
Yeah. Yes. My path to fire, just wanted to know in Vim here, what's Project Blank? So Project Blank is, lack of a better term, it's the decentralized version of Twitter.
Twitter on the blockchain.
Twitter on the blockchain. So the code name for it is Project Blank. It's being created by the Leo Finance guys. Task knows the real name of it. He can't remember it, but
I know it under CIA and advanced interrogation tactics.
Yeah.
If
Manchurian
put a gun in my head and say spit it out, I have no idea.
Yeah. Gun to the head, he wouldn't be able to tell you, but you prod him with some Jedi mind tricks, I'm sure.
Or put some funky drugs in me. I can assure you, I do know this. It's not Project Blank, so you don't have to worry about blanking out there. We're going to be blanking in 6 months.
Speaking of and Path to Fire just mentioned this too, but what do you think of this, man? What do you think of our buddy Elon taking over 9% of Twitter? What do you think of that? Well, must be nice, huh? Like I have so much money, I could just go and buy things like that. Like,
he under the radar spent $3.3 billion.
Yeah.
Because he had to buy it. He did his filing. He bought all that but before March the 14th or something. So he did this weeks ago. I still stand by what I've always said. Web 2 cannot convert to Web 3 because the business model just does not allow it.
Mm-hmm.
They can push maybe a Web 2.5. They can perhaps incorporate a token or Doge or something in there, but and I think they incorporate tipping anyway.
Yeah, there's Bitcoin tips in there and stuff.
You can't, you just can't convert it over. I mean, Elon's talked about open source. Well, okay, I think he could probably. He's going on the board of directors. He may actually be named chairman of the board.
Yeah.
But so what he can do is he can stop some of the censoring, because he can just say you don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
Allow discussions to take place. So he probably has enough clout to do that. But don't forget, he only has like 9.2% of the stock, so he can't come in and just rule the roost.
Right.
But he mentioned open sourcing it. You're not going to open source Twitter, because then that would destroy the value of Twitter for all the shareholders, because theoretically, somebody could open source it, rename it, use the same front end, use the same code, make a few adaptations,
Yeah.
and just go live with it. And,
Yeah.
and would most people still be on Twitter? Yes, but a certain amount would say, screw you, and they might get creative, incorporate other things. So I just don't see how the business model leads to opening things up
Mm.
unless you build a Web3 application like Leo Finance is looking at doing.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's just my view of it. So I have a feeling the censorship will diminish because that seems to be what got under Musk's skin.
Yeah, that's what pissed him off. Yeah, for sure.
But I
Mm.
don't think I don't think the idea of Project Blank is dead because now Musk is going to suddenly create Project Blank on Twitter. It's not going to happen.
Mm.
He'll be very lucky to go Web 2.5 in my opinion, and I don't even
Mm.
think he'll get there.
It's crazy, man. So that's it, man. I mean, that was quarter one, eventful year. Especially for us on Hive. I think I share your excitement. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff. The airdrop.
Do you think my estimation second half of the year we see some breakthroughs, or do you think that's awry?
You know what? This is the thing. This is what's so crazy about crypto, man. It's like everything will line up where you think it's going to be like a surefire hit, and then it's something stupid like Safe Moon or something like that. You know, like I mean, it's just it's never what you think, and it's totally random, like completely random. Like I don't even know half these projects that everyone like Avalanche. What the hell is that? I didn't even know that thing existed, but apparently that's a big deal. I didn't know Polygon existed until 2 months ago.
Those are all just forks of EVMs, which those are like, hairs falling out of our head at one point. Okay, gee, another hair, another day, another fork of EVM. Oh well, it must be a day that ends in Y. So, that I understand, but even within that, we really haven't had much breakthrough in crypto. I mean, NFT, we have categories. We have DeFi, we got NFTs, and you have certain platforms that have done rather well with that stuff. Now, DAOs are the rage, which, what's out there now, in my opinion, is all just garbage. They're not really what DAOs are going to end up being. But, again, like with NFTs, we got to go through the bullshit process before we get the real tech. But, I mean, I don't see anything that is really the game changer yet anywhere. I mean, it's just like we're still all plodding along. Mm. And you're right. It could be something. I mean, I give you my 3 or 4 that I think it could be. And you're right. It could be something pretty ridiculous on Hive that gets 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people interested.
That's what we're hoping. What we have is one of the crazy things.
Well, listeners to me makes sense. I put that in with grand potential because it's so revolutionary. I mean, if you're listening and you are a content creator on Hive, especially a new content creator, you need to get involved with listeners, build up your CTP. Go, as John said, go buy some if you have to, so you can get your emails and you can read your emails. And then once a week, send out a post, one of your own posts. This self-promotion is fine. Send out one of your posts to whatever you get, 500, 1,000 people, 100 people, whatever it is. And that will get, 40, 50, 60, 70 people going to your post. And you'll get something out of it. You'll get upvotes on listeners, so you'll be rewarded listeners. If it's a Leo Finance, you'll get a vote from me probably. If it's a CTP, you'll get a lot of votes from John and Eliana and Blaine and Jimmy and other
and
people.
The listeners account.
And
right?
the listeners account, because that's where I'm putting all my listeners in the listeners account. So how much is in that account?
Oh, millions. No, I'm pretty sure. Well, not millions. That's I'd have to find it, but it's the top account holder now for sure. So yeah, and it's upvoting all the time. I get updates. We have little bots that tell us what we're upvoting, and every 15 minutes it checks. And the last time we voted, we were at 75% voting power on Hive and 76% voting power on CTP. So we're always voting it to make sure that the people are getting rewarded. So tons of CTPs being earned for you guys that are creating.
And a lot of it keeps going back into it. I mean, just speaking for myself, 100% of every CTP I get just ends up staked on listeners.
Yeah. That's what I'm doing, man. I'm just firing at all the listeners. So
anything that comes in is going into that bot to curate each day. I guess it's not a bot; it's manually curated. So,
it's good stuff, man.
Bot. So I look forward to your next secret announcement, which you refuse to announce.
It's close, man. I mean, me, Blaine, and Eliana are testing it right now. I mean, Chris knows what it is because we tell Chris everything. But we're going to open it up for beta testing pretty quick. Blaine's just needs to get some of the math behind it properly. But what's going to be cool about this, it's very similar to Hive, where the more you use it, the better it gets. So
really,
so that's why we've got a beta test.
Now you just piqued the interest as the show's going off air. You piqued the interest of the crowd, and
the 17 million listeners
at the 59th minute, so we can't even pin you to the wall. And so, what is it? Come on, what is it? What is it?
That's how I do things.
Tell us. Give us a hint. Give us a clue. Come on, give us something. Yeah. Come on.
I'll give you a hint. It's awesome. That's the hint. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like your reputation system, huh? They're hot.
Yeah, we'll have to work through that a little bit more too. Yeah. So, anyways.
Well, hey, at least you got it. Hey, I give you credit. I think having a reputation system's great. Okay, it needs some tweaking, but I think it's. I don't know how much work went into it, but it's a fun thing that adds to the platform.
Gamifying it, right?
Gamifies it.
That's it.
It makes it exciting. It some people can get a little competitive with it. Some people can use it for goal setting, a target. It's just a fun little feature, and I think it's great. And maybe and you've probably thought about something like this, but if you extend it out, okay, so it's 100 is pretty easy to get through. You get nothing. But at 200, maybe there's some type of NFT that somebody can have that they can use in their profile pic, or 300, 400. There's different levels available, and maybe an NFT that somehow ties into, he gets you something in, terms of more emails or whatever, something like that. I don't know.
I definitely have an NFT.
Maybe. Okay, maybe if you get a certain reputation score, if you're not a paid member, it gets you an extra email a week that you can send out, or something like that for above 100 or above 200. Above 200 gets you 2 extra emails a week. I mean, it's going to be hard to get there if you're not a paid member, but like you said, if you're looking at the long-term picture, then there's a way to gamify and say, okay, you want to get to 100, so you get 2 emails. Exactly. Then you got to get to 200, and you'll get 3 emails a week, and 300 gets you a fourth email. Then even though it's spaced out, you can get more upvotes and increase your power.
I like the idea of the NFTs because I have a picture of me in a Borat bikini that I was going to NFT and
but what level's that at? Like 600 on a 500 scale, or you could put it at 100?
Level 1000. Okay, I am not underselling myself. Okay.
No, you want it out there, so you do it at like 26. So everybody who gets a vote gets your NFT of you in a Borat swimsuit.
Yagamesh. Guys, that's the CryptoManiacs podcast. We did it. We got through it, and we did not mention the token that Task wanted to mention before we went on air. So let's just leave now before we mention the Cummy token. Oh, geez, I did it. Anyways,
Hey, I got a question. Is that an ERC20? Is it on
I'm pretty.
Ethereum?
It's an EVM fork for sure. I don't know. I have no idea, dude.
Well, it's not. It's not on its own blockchain. I wonder if that's an Ethereum token.
Yeah, dude. Okay. Thank you for coming. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you guys on Friday for the question and answer session where we'll talk about the price of Bitcoin speculation for an hour.
And John will describe how he spent $200 in transaction fees on Ethereum to buy himself a boatload of Cummy tokens. Come by Friday to hear the adventures of that story.
Have a great week, guys. Toodles.